Good morning, friends. I'm standing here in Stuttgart, and this here right next to me is a tree. Specifically, it is a beech tree, which is one of the most common trees you can find around here. I mean, it's a good tree, it's perhaps even an excellent tree, but you know, it's nothing special. It's a bit basic. Today, we are trying to find the trees for whom the opposite is the case. We are trying to find all the trees that among all the over 100,000 trees that the city of Stuttgart cares for occur only one single time. And the first of these elusive, unique specimens we are trying to find here ahead of me, inside Weilemdorf's new cemetery. Okay, I'll try to be quiet and respectful here, because this is a cemetery, there's no one around, but anyway. So our first tree was no success. There should be standing approximately where I am here, there should be standing an alder buckthorn, also called glossy buckthorn or some other names. I would have told you about that tree, about how you can make gunpowder from its charcoal, and about how its bark would apparently have a slightly foul smell, hence the German name Faulbaum. But the tree's not here. My data apparently is not up to date, which I knew might possibly be the case. Trees sometimes die, they get cut down and not recorded. So I will take a less than 100% success rate on these trees, but let's hope that the next ones work better. Okay, we're out of the cemetery. I'm taking what I hope will be a shortcut through the forest. And as the birds sing in the background, I should probably tell you where I get my data from, how I can pretend to know where all the trees are, or are supposed to be. Well, the city of Stuttgart has to take care of a whole bunch of trees. All the city trees. And like I mentioned, there's over 100,000 of them. And they have them all in a big list called the Baumkataster, which you can get from the city, basically by like a equivalent of a Freedom of Information request, which I got it from a friend. Thank you, Magnus. And that lists basically just species of tree and its supposedly precise coordinates. So I just took that list and filtered it by which tree species occur only once, and then I put all the coordinates on a map, and now that's all the places I'm trying to go. In total there's 16 of them, spread all over the city, and you know, currently we're 0 for 1. I would have initially hoped to get like 10 out of 16 at least, but maybe our quota will be slightly worse. Welcome to Bergheim, where the skies are blue and all the streets are named after like reptiles and amphibians. I am standing here next to our tree number 2. I'm so bad at this. I'm standing here right next to our tree number 2, which is a bay willow. Apparently it's called that because its leaves kind of look like the bay leaves, like the kind of laurel you put in your stews. But it is a kind of willow. This is native to Northern Europe and like North Asia, so it is native to here, and it's like ecologically a really good tree. There's like dozens of species of, you know, butterflies and caterpillars and hoverflies, beetles, wild bees, all that like to, you know, eat its leaves or suckle on its catkins. Catkins, by the way, are the flowers of willow trees. They're like little and furry. Catkin means like little cat, which is kind of what they look like. So if you want to do something good for your local insect life, you might want to plant a tree like this. Something else that we of course can be grateful to willows for. The Latin name of the willow tree, Salix, this is a Salix pentandra, is what gives us the word salicylic acid, which is not only probably a component of your skincare products, but also is the base for acetylic salicylic acid, which you might know better under the name aspirin. And it is named after the willow because it was first extracted from the bark of willow trees. Not necessarily this species, but I would still bet that in that bark there's plenty of salicylic acid to be had. So if you've ever had bad skin or headache, discoveries that came out of these kinds of willow trees might have helped you a lot. Okay, we'll make our way to the U-Bahn and leave Weilendorf behind and go on towards Feuerbach. Okay, we're in Feuerbach and it's time for stairs. The time of year is kind of giving me a deadline for this challenge, because it is autumn, and although you might not believe it by how warmly the sun is inviting me to take off my jacket every other step, it is getting pretty cold. Like this morning when I started, definitely below 10 degrees in the shade, and tonight cold frost has already stretched its fingers towards Stuttgart's flora, so it is only a question of a fairly short time before the trees start losing their leaves. And that of course would make them much less interesting to look at and talk about, which is what today is about. Now, that deadline won't be tomorrow necessarily, especially since I don't think I'll complete this within a day. I've been around for an hour, and I've so far gotten to 2 trees, and the third one just up ahead. So, it might not be a one-day adventure today. And if you watched my last video, that was where I lost my jacket, and that I still haven't been able to get that back, so that is why we have this different color scheme today in bright yellow. And since I hopefully don't have to jump any fences today, I don't mind at all being very visible. And here we've been successful in finding tree number 3. This is Malus Taringo, a Taringo apple, which is a type of just decorative crab apple. You can see it has these little yellow fruits, not edible, but supposedly very decorative, especially in spring. It will of course flower very nicely. This is how its fruit looks like close up. And that's all the interesting things I have to say about this tree. Can't climb it, so we'll make our way back down on towards the other side of Feuerbach to find our next tree. And behind me, this up there, is our next candidate. This is a Dutch elm, Ulmus ex hollandica, which the little X in the scientific name means that it is a crossbreed, a hybrid. Now, if you're used to animal biology, you might remember something about the definition of a species where two things belong to the same species to animals if they can crossbreed and produce fertile offspring. With trees, it's more complicated. This is a crossbreed of definitely 2 different species of elm, but it's still fertile. It is a naturally occurring hybrid, which means it just this one obviously was planted, but it generally occurs naturally. It is also not noticeably Dutch in any way. And our next stop is the Killersberg Park. The Killersberg Park is obviously a big park with many trees, so it makes sense that 2 of our candidates would have their home here. Unfortunately, they're both on the complete opposite end of the park, so that is some more walking for me. You can already see Killersberg Tower. There's some pigs and a rooster and some goats with long horns. Look at this, folks. Second challenge in a row I see flamingos. If I see any next time as well, it will be a flamingo bingo. Horse. Little tracks for the Killersbergbahn. little train that they have running here, but I don't think it's included in my Deutschland ticket. Oh, this is such a nice park. Canada geese. Can't believe we would have North American species in here. This is a North American species of tree. This is the jack pine, Pinus banksiana, not named after the artist Banksy, unfortunately. It's named after some British guy. But yes, this is native to eastern Canada. It's apparently the most widespread tree in Canada, they say, and to the northernmost edge of the eastern US, like the northern Midwest and New England. It's a very useful tree. You can use it for pulp, for timber, and for lumber. Please tell me in the comments what the difference between timber and lumber is, because I have no idea. It is also a pioneer species, so it's one of the first tree species to grow again after, for example, a fire. On a closer inspection, I'm not sure if that actually is a jack pine. The GPS coordinates don't quite match. There's a bunch of other coniferous trees around, but none of them seem to quite match the description. So I'm not quite sure if the jack pine is still here, if I found it. Oh, I think I found it. This stem is exactly where I would expect from the GPS the jack pine to be. And yeah, that might well be a pine stem. Has some little fungi on it. But it seems the Killersberg Park jack pine is no more. Okay, I just made my way down this steep bank because here on the bottom awaits us our probably most striking tree so far. This is a vine-leafed maple, Acer sicifolium. This is a Japanese tree. I don't have much more to say about this tree, except that I'm glad I came here in autumn because look at these colors. These are very nice. And it was also part of the idea for this challenge that I could see if any of the trees that I visited were climbable. And for this one, this is trivially true. I can just... they even have like a cut-off stump that you can conveniently sit on. And these horizontal branches give the tree a very nice shape and make it very easy to climb. Goodbye, Killersberg.
Obere Mönchhalde.
And hello, Hauptbahnhof. We are on our way to another park, the Stadtgarten, most notable for being also a university campus. It is a thing I like about Stuttgart, that there are trees almost everywhere. Like, it is almost impossible to find a spot in Stuttgart where you can stand, look around you and not see a single tree anywhere. That is kind of very rare. And even here, this street that apparently didn't used to have trees now has these big planters with young trees that they put there. And here we are. If you're at the University of Stuttgart and you study anything, any humanities, including languages, history, or also business or architecture, which the University of Stuttgart is certifiedly excellent in, then these two gigantic grey blocks will be your academic home. And they are standing here in the Stadtgarten, in this park where our next tree should be found. There is probably no country in the world that is more directly linked to one specific kind of tree than Lebanon and the Lebanese cedar. They even have it on their flag. Now, I'm standing here where there should be a Lebanon cedar. This is some sort of pine, but I don't quite believe it is actually cedar of Lebanon. How it looks doesn't quite match what I think a Lebanon cedar should look like in terms of how the leaves look and how they are attached and everything. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that this is in fact a Lebanon cedar. Then that would be a tree that has been, part of human civilization for very, very long. It's comes from the Middle East, especially the northern Levant and southern Turkey. And it's been around, it's been used by humans for thousands of years. I think it appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh and in the Bible and everything. It's durable wood that you can use very well. It looks pretty, the wood, and it also smells very nice, which means especially for bedroom furniture, for beds, I think you can also put cedar shavings in your pillow to make it smell nice, and apparently that helps with sleep. be that as it may, whether this is a Lebanon cedar or not, I'm now hungry and I will try to have a little bit of lunch here in the park, and I will see you afterwards. Okay, we say goodbye to our Cedar of Lebanon, which apparently this is supposed to be, if the city hasn't mislabeled it. It's a pretty tree. And we will next make our way over to Liederhalle. I'm now standing in the middle of Liederhalle, Stuttgart's Congress, Conference and Concert venue, and behind me here, as you might recognize from the leaves, this is a big fig tree. Now it bears reiterating that the list I'm working on of what counts as a unique tree is only those trees the city of Stuttgart cares for, excluding, trees in forests or forest-like areas. Now I know for a fact there are several more fig trees in Stuttgart. I know least of 3 or 4 that are in private gardens. But the fact is that this is the only fig tree that the city of Stuttgart has, and I suppose when it bears figs, it's a bit in the shade here, but definitely figs do grow in our climates as well, even though the tree is, from a bit further down south, from warmer areas. You could probably go and pick these figs and make something good out of them. About figs, did you know the story about how the Greek philosopher Chrysippus allegedly died? Allegedly, he died when he saw a donkey eating his fermented figs, and he thought that was so funny, and he said, oh, you should give him some wine to wash it down as well, and that joke of his was so hilarious to him that he laughed himself to death. We'll now try and grab a westward U-Bahn and try to make our way to Botnang. And also this facade has like cool art on it. And this thicket behind me hides tree number 9. It was kind of hard to spot it because it's kind of surrounded by a canopy of like dogwood leaves and maple and ash and everything. But inside there, there is an apricot tree. Those are the leaves that belong to it. I don't think you can see it quite well. The apricot, Prunus armeniaca, is originally from China and Central Asia. But again, same as with fig tree here, this is a publicly owned tree. And when, I don't know if the apricots grow here, but when they're ripe, you could go there and grab some. So now we've had like figs, we have apricots. You could probably make something delicious out of that. We're going to do one more tree today to make it an even 10, and that one is one that is a bit more annoying to get to because it's so out of the way of all the other trees, because it is the only one that is in Cannstatt. And so we'll make our way back down to the U-Bahn and go all the way northeast to where we can find our next tree. Okay, I just missed my train at Botnang, which means it's 10 minutes to the next U-Bahn. But that gives me time to, I don't know, eat some chocolate waffles and start on that Claire Spector book, which I brought for all the public transport transfers. And now we're here in front of what is, I think, like a kids' play center area. And somewhere behind me there should be a Kyushu maple. However, I can't see it. Like, there's definitely at least 2 different species of maple here, but Kyushu maple, as the name suggests, kind of maple from southern Japan, should have, thin fingery leaves and a very distinctively red-lined bark. It's also called like red snake bark maple. And I'm currently not seeing it here. So it might be that we're finishing today just as we started with a disappointment. so to recap so far, out of the 10 trees we've visited, 7 were there, and one was, for one, we only found the stump. For 2, the first and the last one, we didn't find any indication of their presence whatsoever. And so if we find from the final 6, we can find 3, that would be our my initial goal of 10 out of 16 fulfilled. And with that, I think it's time to take a little nap. Oh God, why is it? Where do the clouds come from? Why is it overcast? Why does my hair look better? Where does this fence come from? I feel like, wait, this isn't Cannstatt at all. Well, it seems like it's the next day, and we are in fact now up in Stuttgart Ost, and looking for our next tree number 11. And we are looking at this specimen. This is a green ash. This is also called a red ash, although I would describe its color as yellow. It is once again a North American tree. It's spread all throughout the eastern US and a bit of Canada. It is one of the most widely distributed ashes in its continent. For me to achieve the same feat would probably require cremation and a helicopter ride. And I'm also inside like a construction site here, but it's a holiday, so no one cares. You can use the wood of this tree to build things. Wikipedia specifies it's popular to make electric guitars, although those sentences are like marked in Wikipedia with the tags saying dubious, discuss. So don't take it from me. So we'll make our way out of this construction site and back to the U-Bahn, and take the next U15 down towards the southwest. There's the Fernsehturm right in front of us. But our U15 unfortunately stops one stop short of where I have to go. So we'll have to go down here and wait for the U7 to Ostfildern, which is in 1 minute. I gotta run. Okay, we're here in lovely, calm Zillenbuch, and this is where I would show you a bitternut hickory, our 3rd North American tree. But I'm afraid out of the 3, we only have found 1 so far, because there's no tree here. In fact, there is a tree stump right here, and I can't prove it, of course, but that might well have been where our friend the hickory has stood. Now, the concept of a hickory is kind of foreign to us Europeans. It only occurs in like North America and East Asia, so we don't really even have a German word for it. I don't know what happened to this hickory. It could have been made into furniture, you can do that. Or maybe it was burnt for charcoal or for smoking something. What I find funny is both the USD Department of Agriculture as well as the Government of Ontario have like websites where they have information about trees, and the United States one said about the ash that we saw earlier, you can make baseball bats out of it, and Ontario, Canada says of bitternut hickory, you can make lacrosse sticks out of it, which I find fits a cliche very well. Bitternut hickory is called bitternut hickory because it has, unsurprisingly, bitter tasting nuts, unlike its close relative, the pecan nut, pecan tree, which has, obviously, famously edible nuts. Now, I can't try any of these because the tree's gone, but, you know, we soldier on. There is a second tree here in Zillenbuch that we want to find, so the Stadtteil still has the chance to make up for this first disappointment. I'm basically doing Zillenbuchener roads here. This is very pleasant. It's very nice. True fans also remember the Eichenhain of Zillenbuch, which is off to our right, which is obviously also known for its trees, but, you know, kind of by definition, not the unique ones. So we won't come by that today. May I introduce you to my friend Malus X purpurea. It's this fellow right here, also a kind of crab apple, a decorative apple crossbreed, and it has not only beautiful flowers in the spring, it also has kind of pretty red little I don't know if I can call them apples, but apple fruits that are pretty to look at and decorative. The tree does get, you know, this beautiful fall coloring, and we can count it as a success that we found it. I was a bit more scared about this one because obviously a fruit tree doesn't live as long, like, you know, an ash can live hundreds of years, but this apple tree definitely won't be alive in that time period, and it is also definitely not strong enough for me to climb it. So we'll just put a check mark on it and move on. Beautiful trees in yellow, red and green. Okay, welcome to Degerloch, and specifically to the Degerloch Cemetery. Again, I mean, this is not our first cemetery, but I mean, from the perspective of a tree, a cemetery is just the same as any other public park, I suppose. But again, we'll be quiet, we'll be respectful, and we're going to try to find our next tree. Also, fun fact, Degerloch Cemetery, not actually in Degerloch. This part, Sonnenberg, actually belongs to Möhring, for some reason. Rabbit. Also cat. Okay, this one should be it. The Zöschen maple, Acer X Zöschense. It is also a hybrid, but it's not a naturally occurring one, like the Dutch elm we had yesterday, but it is a garden variety. It was crossbred by humans, and it is named after where it was first, like, officially described of the town of Zöschen in Saxony. I mean, it's definitely some maple, as you can see from the leaves. Apparently its parentage isn't perfectly clear, but it's definitely field maple is one of the parents of the crossbreed, and the other probably Cappadocian maple. But this one here is also definitely too young to climb. And with that, we've made it officially to 10 trees found, which was my initial goal for this challenge. But of course, we will go to the last 2 unique trees that exist according to my data. Both are in Vaihingen, to complete today's adventure. So we just exit here. We're still in Möhringen at Vaihinger Straße, which, as the name suggests, is hopefully a Straße that goes to Vaihingen. So it's a bit more foot march time. We are on the Fildern, so cabbage, of course, is obligatory. Well, all the apple trees we've seen so far have just been decorative, but these public apple trees produce some pretty good looking apples. Let me try one of those, see if it's good. On the sour side, but I like it. Okay, that's bad news, folks. Our next tree is not easily accessible. Behind me is apparently some sort of school area. Now, obviously, it's a holiday. There's no school, there's no kids there, so that wouldn't be an issue. But it does have... I did see the main gate kind of open and close in approaching, which means there is some sort of activity. There might be some Hausmeister, some janitor, caretaker living on the property. So there's not guaranteed to be no activity. And there's also a surveillance camera right at the entrance. I would prefer to enter some slightly different way and see if I can get to the tree unseen. Okay, I'm keeping myself in the little tree areas on the property. I'm outside and I've seen no activity so far. And I think The tree I have to get to is kind of exposed from the other side, but I might be able to approach it from the back. Okay, there's no cedar here. There was supposed to be Californian incense cedar, so if you're also a Californian far from home, write in the comments. I know that's likely some of you are watching. But yeah, no, there's only 2 trees here, both definitely not coniferous. So no cedar, all this risk for nothing, and so I'll quickly make my escape. Okay, made it out. I was imagining like a car door or 2 in the distance, but that might just have been paranoid hallucinations. Now, I have to check where our last tree is going to be. Yeah, we're not gonna jump over any fences today, guys. No reason for stealth today, guys. I'm even going the long way around because I don't really want to go back past the entrance gate because I think there was like even another car there now. I don't know what they're doing on a holiday. Maybe the janitor is hosting a house party. Not regretting my choice of way. Look how beautiful this is. There's the cabbage fields. There's the Fernsehturm. So look what's happened to the weather. I could take off my jacket, which I put safely in my backpack, so I don't lose that one as well. Look at the colors on the trees and the apples as well. Ah. Could there be a better thing to do on a day like this than walking around outside, enjoying the sun, trespassing on public property? I can't think of anything better. At long last, we are here at our final stop in Fanny Leicht Park in Stuttgart-Vaihingen, named after brewery owner Fanny Leicht, and we are looking for a tree called Campsiparis piscifera. And here it is, tree number 16, and we are going out with a bang. This one is probably the tallest tree that we've seen on this entire walk. It is a Japanese Sawara cypress, which is called a false cypress, but it looks pretty real to me. Like you can touch it. It's very real. And is, as is mentioned, native to Japan, Honshu, Kyushu, central and southern Japan, and you can use its wood to make, for example, palaces, temples, shrines. You know, all the cool buildings the Japanese are known for. I'm almost tempted to switch to portrait mode because otherwise the sheer height of this thing is hard to capture on camera. Let's look at this perfectly straight trunk. Great for making things out of it, but with the branches hanging off at that height and at that angle as they are, not climbable for me, unfortunately. Okay, and here we are. 16 trees scattered all over Stuttgart. I think we were in 9 different boroughs, 11 of which we could find, 1 of which we could comfortably climb. And that was very fun for me, especially today. I enjoyed it quite a lot. The weather's beautiful. I am going to have my lunch now as a little picnic, and I will see you next time.